Hi everybody, this is Craig Tanner for The Mindful Eye and the Daily Critique. Today's image was created by Roger, who's an intermediate photographer from Canada. Roger shot this image with a Nikon D300, effective focal length 18 millimeters, ISO 200, f18, 1/20th of a second from a tripod using a polarizer. Just real quick, just want to always mention the idea of possibly costing yourself critical sharpness to diffraction. This is the kind of shot where it starts pretty far away. The water that we first see in the shot is probably 10 feet or further away from Roger. Even if it's not, this part down in here doesn't have to be sharp. This is an image where I would focus right on my main subject, the building, and with a super wide angle lens, infinity focus is 8 to 10 feet away, and then I would just stop down a couple of stops or 2.5 stops from wide open to shoot this image at one of my sharpest apertures. So just wanted to mention that. In his backstory, Roger says this is a new Edinburgh Clubhouse on the Ottawa River. He was on his way to work and he stopped because of how incredibly calm the water was. He says the subject of this picture in his mind's eye is just the concept of tranquility, and this is a question-based critique, and I'm paraphrasing here, but Roger says he's not sure if he likes this image without a foreground. He tried to compose a foreground into the shot, and he just couldn't find an angle from the riverbank that worked for that. So what do I think about the lack of foreground, and what do I think about just the crop and the composition relative to the building and the subject matter of tranquility? To me, this is a very beautiful descriptive shot of this building. To me, it's a really well done architectural image. Roger was definitely feeling the tranquility here. It's why he stopped. For him, if this is a river that he drives along every day on the way to work and he's used to seeing the water moving, then I could definitely see wanting to stop and to take a picture that sort of reflects how he's feeling about the difference, the way the river typically is and the way it was on this morning. For me, tranquility is a subject matter that is not so literal and it's more abstract. It's more about something that you feel. And so, first of all, I just want to address the subject of the picture. I think if I was there with Roger and this was a workshop situation and Roger said I want to photograph tranquility, I always, when I'm helping people in the field, say first shoot whatever your idea is before I say anything. Just shoot your idea or your ideas. And then if this is what Roger came up with, I'd say beautiful descriptive architectural shot, but let's try another image where instead of being so literal on the building, we just suggest it. If the concept is tranquility, don't really have enough negative space down in here to do sort of exactly what I would like to do, but this would be closer to my take if in fact somebody said I had to photograph tranquility in this setting. Then I would do something like this. I would show the water and the building upside down. I would try to abstract this. I would show just a little bit of the building, try to have a lot of water, and maybe move myself along the bank to where the clouds could imply energy that maybe move out to the building. But that would be my take if the subject is tranquility. If I'm hired to take a picture of this structure and now it's an architectural shot, then I would agree with Roger's question about the foreground, and I'd probably want to get a foreground in there. And here's my take on that. Right now, what I'm getting from this picture, besides a beautiful descriptive shot of the structure, is a feeling of stability, but there's so much stability here in terms of the definite nature of the reflection, the fact that there's sort of the same quality of light everywhere. There is a bright side to the building, but it's not much different than the shaded side because the sun is behind this huge cloud bank. Very diffuse light. So the lights, in a lot of respects, are the same everywhere. The color temperature of the light is the same everywhere. There's a lot of blue here. So if this is a descriptive shot of the architecture, I think a foreground would help to create more of a feeling of physical and psychological depth instead of the building just sort of being all one idea here and kind of floating in this space. Foreground would help to give us a sense of near to far, so there would be some suggestion of physical space being able to move through. That would start to lend some more emotional or psychological depth to the image, and I think a foreground would help here. I might add more foreground. I might back up a little bit, make the building a little bit smaller, and let these beautiful clouds and the sky and all that lead in a little bit more to the building. When I shot architecture, when I had situations like this for most people, the nature of the clouds and water on a day like this for most people is going to have a lot bigger psychological impact than any structure. So when I was shooting architecture and I got a chance to pull back a little bit and let incredibly beautiful things like water and sky lend weight to the building, that I might do it. And just from the standpoint of proportion, this is so heavy that I might want to include more of the things around it. If I'm here and now this is what I'm working with and I see it as a descriptive architectural shot, and then I want to edit this to create a little bit more emotional and physical depth, then this is sort of close to what I would do. I would take this side where the light is hitting and I would warm it up quite a bit. And let me show you that. So this is before, and then there is after. So one more time, there's before and then there is after. For me, when I warm this up, particularly right in here, it starts to break this up now, and it actually sets a base for the building, so that this can be an anchor in the image that helps to break the whole thing up in terms of all of this just combining to be one floating idea. And the other thing that happens is that when the red comes in, a little bit more green comes in up here, it starts to give this more form in terms of moving out in this direction, or being able to imagine that this is three-dimensional on the z-axis. One more time. Here is before and here is after. I've pushed pretty far. I might not go this far if I wasn't doing an instructional video, but I really want the viewer of the video to be able to see what the warmth is doing on that bright side of the building. And I think you could get away with this because it does seem like it's early still, and that the light could be where it's hitting warm. The other thing that I almost always do when I have flatter light, and I have this much potential for local contrast, this kind of sky and these kind of clouds, is to look at things in black and white. And I do like this quite a bit as in black and white. I think on the black and white version, this does take on more depth and have more of a feeling of three dimension when you get rid of all of that blue. Other thing that you can see that's happening in the black and white version is that, again, that really makes this base right here come forward, and it starts to make this look like a reflection instead of just the whole thing being one idea, and that helps to give the shot a little bit more depth. Great submission by Roger. Really beautiful descriptive image of this structure, and I can definitely see why he stopped. An amazing morning on this river, to have a river this calm. Incredible opportunity for landscape type photography. I'll say a big thank you to you for being here. Hope to see you again real soon on The Mindful Eye and The Daily Critique.